HOA demanded I demolish my new barn, but it's my land, and I'm not a member of their HOA. Imagine pouring your life savings into building your dream barn, only for an HOA to demand its demolition, claiming it's on their land, despite you not even being a member. How far would you go to protect your hard work and rightful property? The smell of fresh-cut lumber and damp earth was a symphony to my senses. My new barn, the Harvest Haven, stood proudly on my 5-acre property, its sturdy frame a testament to months of sweat and careful planning. It wasn't just a barn, it was the heart of my burgeoning organic farm, where I, Ethan Vance, a former city chef turned agrarian enthusiast, planned to cultivate heirloom vegetables and raise free-range poultry. My property lines, clearly marked by ancient oak trees and official survey stakes, were unmistakable. Then came Karen, not with an offer of help, but with a roar of a golf cart and a face contorted in self-righteous fury. I was tightening the last bolt on a hayloft support beam when a gleaming white golf cart, adorned with a Grandview Meadows HOA banner, screeched to a halt in my driveway. Out stepped a woman in an impeccably tailored golf outfit, clipboard in hand, a sneer on her lips. This was Brenda Albright, the notoriously domineering president of the Grandview Meadows Estates HOA, a new, exclusive residential community that had recently expanded right up to our property line. "Mr. Vance," Brenda shrieked, her voice amplified by a portable megaphone, cutting through the peaceful morning. This barn is a flagrant violation of Grandview Meadows' architectural uniformity and rural aesthetic covenants. It's a blight. It clashes with the sophisticated elegance of our community, dragging down property values. And your farm operations are attracting unwanted pests and creating offensive odors. This is an illegal structure, and we are here to implement a community-mandated demolition. You are impeding progress, and I demand you cease your interference at once, or face extreme penalties and public shaming. She then pointed at my newly constructed barn, as if it were a festering wound. The main conflict, audacious and utterly infuriating, was laid bare. Brenda, armed with baseless accusations of aesthetic violations and a fabricated concern for property values, was illegally trespassing and demanding the demolition of my private property, all while fabricating ridiculous claims of community jurisdiction. Her demands were not only ludicrous but rooted in a profound sense of entitlement and a pathological need for control, treating my property and my livelihood as a personal affront to her concept of luxury living. Her attitude was one of blatant contempt, believing her personal preferences granted her the right to intrude, destroy, and impose rules on sovereign land, completely ignoring my established rights and permits. I stared at her, then at the monstrous barn, my hard work, that she casually wished to destroy. "Ms. Albright," I shouted, my voice barely audible over her megaphone. "You are trespassing. This is private property. This barn is legal, fully permitted by the county, and built entirely within my property lines. Your HOA has no jurisdiction over my land, my farm, or anything I build here. You are committing criminal harassment and attempting to extort me. Get that golf cart off my land immediately, or I will consider this an act of war." I even pulled out my laminated property deeds and the county building permit for the barn. Brenda, however, merely scoffed, waving a dismissive hand. "Nonsense. Your permits are irrelevant when they violate our established community standards for uninterrupted views and prestigious ambience. An act of war? Don't be so dramatic, Mr. Vance. This is for the greater good of our community. When the authorities arrive, they'll see your obstruction and side with us. They always do." Her tone was chillingly arrogant, her eyes holding a glint of perverse pleasure, as if she reveled in her perceived power to command authorities. Within minutes, 2 county sheriff's deputies, apparently alerted by Brenda, arrived, looking bewildered by the scene. Brenda immediately launched into a dramatic, fabricated account, claiming I was illegally building without proper permits and threatening her and her volunteer committee. The deputies, trying to make sense of the situation, began to question me. Then, Brenda's audacity escalated into a direct, shocking act of physical destruction and agricultural sabotage. While the deputies were distracted, Brenda, with a triumphant smirk, pointed towards my newly dug irrigation pond, essential for my organic crops. "And drain that stagnant swamp too," she shrieked. A smaller demolition crew, under her direct command, rumbled towards my pond. With a sickening groan, they slammed a small excavator bucket into the carefully lined pond, tearing a massive hole and causing the water to rapidly drain away, turning my future water source into a muddy pit. Then, with a sneer, Brenda ordered a smaller crew to dump several barrels of what appeared to be industrial-strength weed killer directly onto my newly planted organic vegetable beds just outside the barn. It was a calculated, malicious act designed to cripple my farming operation, destroy my property, and intentionally poison my crops. Right after Brenda's act of destruction and brazen agricultural contamination, a crucial twist unfolded from an unexpected source. As the weed killer barrels were being dumped, my trusty farm dog, Rusty, a clever border collie renowned for his uncanny ability to retrieve anything I sent him for, suddenly dropped a small, flashing object at my feet. It was a tiny, solar-powered drone, one of my experimental agricultural drones designed for precision crop monitoring, which Brenda's crew must have accidentally knocked down when they were cutting through the brush. I had been testing its new, hypersensitive chemical detection array. A warning light flashed on its display. The drone's readouts confirmed it. The barrels contained a highly toxic, illegal, non-biodegradable herbicide, far more potent than any common weed killer. But more importantly, the drone's cameras, still recording, had just sent back an unexpected, crucial image from inside Brenda's golf cart. It showed Brenda, a week prior, speaking on a hidden phone, boasting to someone about bribing a county zoning official to falsify my property's zoning records, attempting to reclassify it as undevelopable wetland to force a cheap sale for her HOA's expansion plans. It was an accidental, but terrifyingly real, twist. The larger consequence of Brenda's actions became terrifyingly clear. The destruction of my irrigation pond and the poisoning of my organic crops weren't just personal damages. My farm was the primary supplier for the Green Acres Community Supported Agriculture (CSA) program, which provided fresh, organic produce to hundreds of local families, including several schools and a hospital's healthy eating initiative. Her deliberate act of vandalism and brazen environmental contamination wasn't just a petty act of malice. It directly jeopardized public health, vital food security, and risked widespread agricultural damage. Her petty vendetta had escalated into a direct assault on both human health and local food systems, elevating her personal malice to a matter of profound civic and ethical significance. Armed with my drone's irrefutable chemical readings, video evidence of the bribery, and the furious local CSA director, I was done being subtle. As the deputies finally approached, looking thoroughly confused by Brenda's continued theatrics, she was still yelling about my dangerous equipment. "Officers, he's resisting. This farmer is clearly a menace." "Actually, Ms. Albright," I retorted, my voice cutting through her bluster, amplified by the news cameras that had just pulled up, having been tipped off by the CSA director. "Your community safety is about to become an arrest for felony vandalism, illegal chemical dumping, reckless endangerment, and bribery of a public official." I then projected my drone's real-time chemical detection readings and the video of Brenda bribing the county official onto a large, portable screen for the deputies and the news crew. The chemical readings showed off-the-charts toxicity levels, and the video clearly depicted the bribery. "And you see that footage, officers?" I said, pointing to the screen. "That's Ms. Albright bribing a county official to falsify my zoning records, trying to claim my land as undevelopable wetland, so she could buy it cheap for her HOA's expansion." The deputies looked aghast, and the assembled news crew gasped, their faces paling. Brenda's face went from smug confidence to utter, absolute terror, her jaw hanging slack as the gravity of the situation and the unexpected legal twist dawned on her. No, that's impossible. That's a trick. He's lying," she shrieked, desperately trying to manipulate the situation, her voice shrill and breaking. She started pointing fingers, trying to blame me, the drone, Rusty, anyone but herself, her eyes wide with unadulterated fear. Just as her pathetic denials reached their peak, the silence was shattered by the distinct wail of additional sirens. More county sheriff's vehicles, but also a sleek black SUV marked FBI, Public Corruption Unit, pulled up. Out of the lead vehicle stepped a grim-faced federal agent, followed by the county prosecutor, a representative from the State Department of Agriculture, Food Safety Division, and the furious local CSA director. The State Department of AG representative spoke first, his voice cold and cutting. "Ms. Albright, your actions have not only caused severe environmental damage, but created an immediate, catastrophic threat to our local food supply chain and public health. This is a federal disaster-level incident, and you are directly responsible." The FBI representative stepped forward. "And Ms. Albright, we've also been investigating reports of widespread illegal zoning manipulation and financial irregularities within the Grandview Meadows HOA, specifically regarding the unauthorized acquisition of adjacent properties and the diversion of HOA funds to shell corporations ostensibly for community beautification projects that never materialized. Your documented acts of vandalism, illegal hazardous chemical dumping, reckless endangerment, and bribery align perfectly with these ongoing investigations. Furthermore, we have evidence of significant sums of HOA funds being diverted to offshore accounts linked to your shell corporations, ostensibly for development projects that never materialized, and a history of targeting independent landowners for illicit acquisition and harassment." A nervous murmur rippled through the gathered Grandview Meadows residents, who had followed the commotion, as one stammered to the FBI agent. She told us the beautification fees were for our new private lake and golf course expansion. We had no idea the money was being sent to her sister's consulting firm in the Bahamas." It was a chilling revelation. Brenda wasn't just a busybody. She was a criminal mastermind, systematically defrauding her own members, attempting to seize valuable agricultural land, and committing serious environmental and public health crimes for massive personal profit, with the aesthetic uniformity claims merely a cover for her grand scheme. A past incident, whispered among her former colleagues, revealed that Brenda had been previously disbarred from a regional real estate board for systematic fraudulent land dealings and abuse of public trust. The consequences for Brenda Albright were immediate and utterly devastating. She was arrested by federal and local authorities on multiple charges, including federal offenses for bribery, environmental crimes, conspiracy to commit fraud, felony vandalism, reckless endangerment, and later, as the full extent of the fraud was uncovered, for massive embezzlement, wire fraud, and racketeering. The Grandview Meadows HOA was placed under immediate federal oversight, its assets frozen, and a full forensic audit exposed tens of millions in stolen funds, a systematic scheme orchestrated by Brenda and her network. Her carefully cultivated image as the benevolent community leader shattered into irreparable pieces. The HOA residents she had once intimidated and defrauded now turned on her, furious at being manipulated and exploited, their HOA funds stolen, and their properties facing environmental and legal liabilities due to her criminal actions. Her social circles, built on an illusion of wealth and influence, abandoned her completely, unwilling to be associated with such public disgrace. Her vast real estate holdings, her fortune, her status, her perceived power all confiscated as part of the ongoing investigation and subsequent lawsuits. She lost everything: her freedom, her fortune, and her reputation. The ultimate irony was that her audacious attempt to demolish my barn and steal my land led to the complete unraveling of her vast, illegal enterprise, culminating in a lengthy federal prison sentence. As for the Harvest Haven, it flourished beyond my wildest dreams. The pond was repaired and refilled, the poison beds remediated by agricultural experts, and the farm, now famous for its role in exposing a criminal, became a thriving hub for organic produce and community engagement. The satisfaction was immense, watching her literal and figurative empire crumble before her eyes, a quiet triumph of justice and ingenuity over arrogant greed and rampant criminality, narrowly averting a true disaster. What's your take on this? When someone so brazenly abuses power, commits felony vandalism, endangers public health through illegal chemical dumping, attempts bribery to seize land, and defrauds an entire community, does their complete and utter downfall, even to federal prison, truly serve justice? Or is there a point where the consequences become too extreme?